So after I beat the werehog level, this happened.
Opening, huh? There's gotta be a
And it was really confusing because I don't understand why you can't get this door unlocked just by beating all of the levels that Holoska has to offer. This is such blatant padding. Why do you have to fuck around in the hub world before you can actually get the star tablet? If you need any more proof that the hub world is only there to pad out the game, there it is. I mean, all of this Sonic going around, being forced to talk to all the NPCs to get stuff to progress, it's not Sonic, and it just feels like blatant padding. So he acts like he pretended to be an old man that's senile, but all of a sudden he isn't. Basically, he pretended to be a senile old man, only to immediately get revealed to actually be senile. Is that supposed to be a joke? The humor in this game just feels so forced. Like it was all just added there at the last minute. None of it comes naturally. But anyways, this might be the best boss in the game so far, but that's really not saying much. It's the first boss that I ever died to as the werehog. And I think it took 6 minutes for me to die to it, and on the second try, it took over 5 minutes for me to beat it. More long silence. Wonderful.
Oh no!
That scene could have done perfectly fine without him making any sentences or noise at all. I think a moray is supposed to be an eel. It's kind of a weird name, so a lot of people aren't going to know what that name means. But anyways, why are there enemies attacking you and bothering you while you're busy doing something else? The biggest problem that I have with this boss is basically that it overwhelms you. There's too much that you're expected to do at once. There's enemies that attack you, and while it's good that they go down in 3 hits, they're kind of an annoying nuisance when you have to attack these pink containers to get this ice ball. I do like how the pink containers break every time that you attack them, so they progressively get more and more broken. So it makes you feel like you've accomplished something. It looks like you have to attack the green weak spots on him, but what you really have to do is attack him until he spits out the ice containers. And only then can you do massive damage by freezing him. That's right, you have to freeze an ice monster. 'Cause that makes sense. I didn't get the idea to freeze him at all in the first phase of the boss on my first try, because it didn't. Well, for one of the reasons is that the cutscene showing him spewing out the ice containers doesn't take nearly long enough. So it's easy to have it just go by and you don't really think about it. I think I prefer Chaos 6 to this, to be honest, because at least with Chaos 6, you could feel like a badass and an expert at the game by cheesing it with a certain strategy. Like with Chaos 6, you could just use the maximum heat knuckle attack or light speed attack and just kill it really quickly. This boss is guaranteed to take a long time no matter what you do. And like, you're expected to constantly dash around it in a circle. So dashing is mandatory to beat the game when it's difficult to even activate in the first place. And you're expected to dash constantly in a circle, but God, there's just so many things wrong with this all at once. Like, the ice crystals, you walk into them and they freeze you solid. And, well, at least he doesn't bring up the ice wall again after you fall off here, so that's good. But all this ice is in your way. And if you stop to attack it, then he'll just create more and possibly freeze you or slam into you. It's so irritating. All the different things you have to deal with all at once. This boss fight has bee enemies that can follow you up here. And you can dash into the ice containers and destroy them. Why did they program it to do that? Why did they think that was a good idea? And of course, in order to pad out the boss fight, they force you to do this all over again. That's brilliant. I just don't understand why they thought this boss was a good idea. It doesn't even really look like the special attack does much to them. Oh, here we go. Here the bees are showing up. And again, they can follow you up onto the arena because naturally they can fly. And it's like you're already being expected to deal with the boss. And then you have these annoying bees that just bother you. It's kind of hard to tell which green weak spot you have to attack, because sometimes attacking the wrong one really doesn't do anything. You think that you have to attack the green weak spot, but what you really should be doing is freezing the ice boss. And I don't think that there's even much of a proper explanation in the story for why this guy's around. I mean, it's never explained that he's a guardian. At least with the Phoenix, you had this cutscene showing off how the Phoenix used to be a guardian of the Dark Gaia temples. This guy, I'm assuming he is, but he just comes out of nowhere. I guess it's more interesting than fighting a mecha of Eggmans, because we already do that enough in Sonic games, so it's interesting to be fighting monsters for once. But it's like, I don't know, they had Sonic not fight monsters for a reason. It was because he was more about nature versus technology. And so he wouldn't really want to kill living beings. He'd feel better about killing robots. And here we have these monsters who, they're all part of the Dark Gaia hive. So they're not exactly like animals, but it still kind of harkens back to that old prototype version of Sonic, where like Eggman was just like a bumblebee and Sonic had bangs with a rock band. All the stuff that Sega of America had to take out because Sega of Japan was trying a little too hard to appeal to the American audience without really understanding how. Basically what I'm getting at here is it kind of misses the point of Sonic to not be fighting robots. Even if it is good to... It is a nice change of pace at least. When booting up the PlayStation 3 version of Unleashed, some of Sonic sprites from Sonic 1 are used before the Sega model loads up. This happens again more appropriately in Sonic Generations. Like, it makes more sense to happen in a 25th anniversary title than in just Sonic Unleashed. God, just look at how there's such a huge row of ice, and you have to. It's so easy for you to get frozen or get hit here. And look at how low my health bar is. Oh, it's a good thing that I have this. And it barely restores any. There's a grand total of 2 giant rings that you can get to restore your health, but they don't restore nearly enough of it. Like, can you blame me for dying in this fight? You constantly get swarmed by enemies. There's too much you're expected to do at once. You're guaranteed to get yourself hurt. I believe that the HD version of the game has multiple different comedy shorts with no dialogue at all, which basically are there to show the whole forced Sonic and Chip friendship and shove it down your throats. All of the Chip shorts, with the exception of one called the Night of the Werehog, all of them are all about Chip and his obsession with food. That's literally it. It's Chip fighting with Sonic over food. Great friend. If you need any more proof that he's a one-dimensional character, there it is. Like, I don't understand what his appeal is, or how that even fits with Sonic in the first place. really the best one, and that's really not saying much since they all don't have any dialogue at all. So they don't, it's kind of hard to tell a story like that. But the best short is Night of the Werehog. Basically, Sonic as the Werehog and Chip go through a haunted house. And the ghosts in the haunted house are trying to impress this lady ghost by taking a picture of Sonic while he's scared. And they take a lot of pictures of Chip when he's scared. And eventually, I think Sonic goes Werehog and he fights the ghosts. And eventually, it ends with the lady ghost falling in love with Sonic. But it's all told without any dialogue, without any words. Just like in Sonic 3 Knuckles. And I applaud them for that. And the fact that there's not much forced comedy relief from Chip. Like, the only forced comedy relief he has doesn't really feel that forced, because rather than centering it around food, it centers it around the fact that Chip is scared of the ghosts. Which makes sense for his character. He's not an action guy. He can't fight. So, it makes him a little more sympathetic to have him be scared, rather than always acting like he's raring to go and raring to fight. Like, in the cutscene where Eggman was harassing the Missouri villagers, where he literally did a Scrappy-Doo pose twice. Like, trying to look brave, like he actually thought he could fight. It's more sympathetic for him to be... The reason that I cut there is because for some arbitrary reason, when you die in a Werehog boss fight, you have to do the whole thing over again. But when you die in a level, then you can just get right back up, losing a life, and you can just keep on fighting it. That is so arbitrary and inconsistent. It's like in the levels, you run out of health, and while you do lose a life, you just get up right from where you died. You don't respawn at a checkpoint. You don't have to do anything over again. So why did they suddenly change the rules for boss fights? It just feels so forced. Like, most of the time when you die in a boss fight in any game, you have to do the whole thing over again. All of your progress is gone. But with the whole thing that they introduced, with what happens when you run out of health in this game, it just makes it feel really forced that they're still forcing that tradition on you. Like, the only game that I can think of that doesn't force you to do everything again when you die in a boss fight is a Pac-Man game, the 3D. Clement showed it off, I forget what it's called, Pac-Man World, I guess. Basically, when you die to the bosses, all of your progress is still saved. So dying is pointless, and it's just there to be a minor annoyance that just makes you feel like you fucked up. But it doesn't force you to do a whole bunch of things you did over and over again. I don't entirely want that for Sonic, but if the boss fights take this long, then I'm justified. I mean, I got 8 minutes into the boss, and I died on my first try. I think I took half as long with the second try, but still. No boss fight in a Sonic game should last this long. But anyways, I was talking about the Night of the Werehog short earlier. The ghost photographers inside of it appear in the actual game. They're in the first scene at Eggman Land, and in the missions Tower Terror and Fright Fight, which I believe are exclusive to the HD version. This makes sense because you can only unlock the shorts in the HD version. I believe you have to do specific things to unlock them, like get achievements. 5 minutes wasn't even an E! It was an S! I didn't feel like I earned that S rank at all. Which really goes to show you how terrible the ranking system is. Like, I took so long on that boss fight. Why did I get such a high rank? And yes, I am complaining about this, because if I don't feel accomplished getting a high rank, then it's failed at its job. And plus, I only got 1 Sun Medal from that. Normally, when you beat a level, and you get a high rank, you get a lot more medals than normal. Like, I believe you can get 3 if you got an S rank. But with the boss fight, you can only get 1 medal from them. So getting a high rank on them is pointless. Really? No shit. And how would you even know that? Do you have a cell phone that lets you get into contact with Professor Pickle? Is that why you know? Did he tell you on the phone? And if so, why don't you just give the phone to me rather than me having to go all the way to Spagonia and talk to him every time he wants to talk to me? Why can't he just call me on my cell phone? I can't really imagine Sonic having a cell phone though, because it's all about freedom. So he wouldn't feel free if he had a cell phone tying him down to his friends all the time, because they could call him whenever they wanted to. Same goes with Knuckles. That and the fact that Knuckles is pretty stubborn about technology and stuff. So we've got a giant white trumpet that's on the ground, surrounded by white Yoshi eggs. Yeah, that's intimidating. And how does Eggman plan on getting all of these things to work for him, not attack him? Let's see if that's answered in the next part.